are talking about fields of opportunity. The State of North Carolina Department of Commerce, Agricultural Services is joining us today to talk about all sorts of interesting agricultural jobs that are available in the state of North Carolina. We will have a nice little spot at the end for questions and answers. We're excited to work with the Department of Commerce, Agricultural Services to learn more about the fields of opportunity here in North Carolina. Since this is our lunch break, we do tend to keep things lighthearted and informational, and we hope you enjoy your time with us. Before we begin, go over a couple of housekeeping things. The session's being recorded and may be shared for training and educational purposes. In fact, we would love for it to be shared for training and educational purposes. By staying in the session, you consent to being part of that recording. Please keep your microphones muted during the presentation. We've actually taken that feature off so that when it's question and answer time, we can unmute you. Just put it in the chat. Feel free to submit questions in the chat at any time. We'll either have a large Q&A at the end, or if the timing works out, we'll do it on the fly. And if you experience any technical difficulties, best bet is to basically log off and log back on. Remember too, we are live on Facebook, so you can put questions in the comments there. Also, before we proceed, please note that the information presented today is current as of the time of this webinar. Policies and information can change quickly, and while we've taken care to provide accurate and reliable data, all projections and interpretations are for informational purposes only and do not represent official policy positions. Furthermore, any views expressed during this webinar are solely those of the interviewer, that's me, as well as our guests and attendees. They do not necessarily reflect the official positions of the state of North Carolina, NC Works, Department of Commerce, Agricultural Services, or the High Country Workforce Development Board. Why we're doing this. At NC Works, we spend a lot of time helping people navigate job searches and helping employers find job candidates. Whether it's finding a new career path, upgrading skills, or connecting with opportunities, NC Works Career Centers are here for you. We've also learned that the front lines of career success doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's a lot of challenges out there. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right information at the right time. Today, we bring you information on agricultural job opportunities in the state of North Carolina, direct from two gentlemen who know it very well. So, to announce our starting lineup for today, I have Nelson Gonzalez and Ricky Boyd. Gentlemen, would you like to introduce yourselves one by one?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Thank you, Jacob. My name is Nelson Gonzalez Jr., and I'm the Agriculture Employment Consultant in the western side of North Carolina. I'm positioned in Wilkes County, and my primary role is an outreach worker for the migrant seasonal farm workers in North Carolina.
And yes, my name is Ricky Boyd. I am the Agriculture Business Service Representative. I am stationed out in Iredell County at the NC Works Statesville office, but I do cover multiple different regions. The High Country region is one of the regions that I do cover, along with Central Line, Western Piedmont, and Piedmont Triad.
So, gentlemen, let me just start by asking what the Department of Commerce, Agricultural Services, what exactly is it? Where does it sort of live in that overall structure?
I'll take this one. So Department of Commerce Ag Services, we do work out of the local NC Works centers, and we provide those essential labor services, but specifically to agriculture communities, businesses, and workers. So we primarily in my role, we go out to job sites and we interact with the farm workers, the farmers, to ensure that their labor needs are being met and the compliance is being met. And I'll let Ricky talk about the foreign labor side of our services.
Thank you, Nelson. Yeah, as far as with the foreign labor, we do multiple different things. We coordinate a lot with DOL with doing the regulations with certain housing requirements for any employer that utilizes the federal programs such as H-2A or H-2B, mainly with H-2A. Those who have primarily have housing, they have to have housing certified through either us or USDOL. If they are stationed in houses, you normally DOL will come out and do those, I guess you could say inspections to make sure that the housing is up to standard for people to live in. And then say if a H-2A employer has, a hotel or something that they are renting or have people booked in, we'll go out and do inspections that way on our side, on the commerce side. And as far as like our overall general consensus of our agency, like Nelson mentioned, we're stationed all over the state, mainly in NC Works offices. Our main hub is at the Chapanoke office. That's where primarily most of our foreign labor staff, the ones that do a lot of the paperwork. That's where they're mostly our staff that, along with our program director, Mr. Drew Long. But for us, the field staff, we're all scattered across the state, housed at respective NC Work centers.
So you both come to this with some experience in agriculture, I'm assuming, but how did you get here? What brought you to the department?
I can take this one first. Well, I started my education at North Carolina A&T University. Go Aggies! If anybody's a Aggie out there, Aggie pride. But yeah, I started my education there when I was in graduate school, going for agricultural, well, agribusiness. Before that, I didn't know much about agriculture at all. I didn't really didn't recently found out until maybe a few months ago. Like some of my family, primarily on my father's side, did a lot of things in agriculture because agriculture is a big thing in South Carolina as it is in North Carolina. But I primarily wasn't exposed to that until some of my close friends an undergrad told me about the different opportunities that is there in agriculture, and they told me that A&T was one of the best schools for it. I mean, it's literally in the title of the name of the school. And I had got some great exposure there, met some great people, made some great connections, and it definitely opened up my eyes to not just the small scale of what agriculture is, but the larger scale of it and what the many different avenues and career paths that you can take while working in the field of agriculture.
Thank you, Nelson. How about you?
Uh, so I would say I had during the COVID era, I had I guess a career switch. I was heavily involved in the automation sort of technician side of the industry of database centers, but then after COVID hit, I kind of realigned myself and wanted I guess a lifestyle and work shift. So I started the agriculture program at App State. So go Mountaineers. But I did the sustainable agriculture program under the sustainable development, and that got me into agriculture. And then as a hobbyist, I do bees and I do gardening, so I became very passionate about agriculture and just that sustainability food system aspect of ag, and that had brought me into finding a job in my field, and that got me connected with the state. And actually, I worked with NC Works as a job seeker to find this job and align myself with this job. So I'm very embedded in the system and how it works and being a success story for this Wilkes office. So yeah.
So you're saying you came to the office and we couldn't get rid of you, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I'm stuck
Well,
here forever.
the typical day in the life for both of your roles, what does that look like?
For me as an outreach worker, essentially the idea is that we bring NC Work Services compliance and those worker laws to the field. The foundational idea is that most farm workers and farmers can't come out to NC Works. They usually work from sun up to sundown, and the office is only open from 8 to 5. So you never really see a farm worker come into the office unless they got laid off. So with me, every day looks like going out to the field, literally getting in the vehicle and going out to the field where these farm workers are at. Either they're working, they're gathering, or they're in their living area. So we pretty much go scouting. If we don't have a particular place to go, we go scouting for farm workers. The other day, I was driving around Lenore area, and I was able to find a couple farm workers working in the landscaping. Well, sorry, a field where there was a lot of landscaping, trees and shrubbery. And I didn't expect to see them there, but that's the type of interaction that we get. Sometimes we find farm workers, sometimes we don't. But going out there and helping them navigate if they have information, they need information on the complaint system, on the services that we have, if we need to schedule any transportation for them, just being like spreading the awareness of what NC Works has, and if they have an issue with their boss or the farm owner, then we can help navigate them through it.
Yeah, and on my side, like a day in the life, typically, um, I normally try to make connections with a lot of businesses because I'm more on the employer side. Like Nelson mentioned, he more focused on the workers and employees out there at the farm or different agribusiness fronts. So I normally try to make some connections either via email, try to make that first form of contact to see if they'd be interested in meeting with me. And other than that, sometimes I just kind of like just go pin out some different locations in prospective areas, whether it's just in one particular county or multiple in one day, and just kind of, put, boots on the ground and kind of just go out there and just spread the word about NC Works. Because like Nelson mentioned, a lot of these farmers or really aren't familiar with NC Works, or they know about NC Works used to be in an unemployment office and they thinking that that still is the same thing that we do on a day in and day out basis. But, it's us primarily being out in the community, enlightening them, providing education, let them know about what we can do to possibly help them. Some of them are apprehensive about some things because, government, they don't really trust government work at all sometimes, but we definitely try to, build that bridge of trust with these employers and let them know that we are here for them. We are a state agency. It's a free service that we provide. They don't have to pay us anything to provide these services, and just kind of like putting our face out there. Because I mean, you can see emails and phone calls all day, but if you can't put a face out to the name and the agency that's reaching out to them, then they just kind of like stay off and distant from us. But I think we're definitely doing a great job of just getting out there and just spreading the word of NC Works and our respective offices in the respective regions.
Okay, so at this point, what I want to kind of do is approach this from farm working job opportunities and farm working employer opportunities. I do want to get to MSFW in just a little bit, but say I'm North Carolina born and raised, or resident of the state, and I want to get into farming. What's it look like for me right now? Are there a lot of opportunities out there? Is it a competitive field? What do we see? Where's the best way to go?
You can take that one, Ricky.
All right, when give me the challenging ones. Okay. Well, right now the landscape of agriculture, there are opportunities out there. It's just getting some opportunities to get placed and showing the opportunities that are there. A lot of people just don't really know about them that much because a lot of farmers are, on the traditional basis, kind of spreading things by word of mouth. So they might spread it to a family friend or a close friend of theirs, or just someone that may be down the road that have some young kids or local high school kids that want to work on the farm, making a little bit of extra money here and there on the weekend or on the afternoon once they get out of school. But one thing we've been definitely been pushing a lot is basically just getting farmers more, I guess you could say, aware of getting exposure through NC Works by possibly register them in the system and let them know about there is domestic workers out here that are reliable that could come and work at your farm, whether it's for a temporary basis on a seasonal level or it's a regular job and they'll be there working, a standard 9 to 5 monthly or weekly there as just a regular employee. So the opportunity for jobs in agriculture are out there. It's just the main thing of us kind of bridging that gap and getting them that exposure that they need. Because I know at one point when I first started the job, we mostly just had like created like flyers for some of these employers, even once they get registered in NC Works, and post it at different local businesses, whether it was your local Hispanic grocery stores or sometimes even thrift stores, and even sometimes at gas stations or even laundromats. Plenty on places where people would normally go on a day-to-day, just handling operations, things like that. We would just post it and just kind of let people know that, hey, your local farmer is looking for a farm hand to, do whatever type of the job is for, let's say about $15 an hour, for like, 20 hours a week, and we'll post either the contact information directly for that employer and we'll leave our card attached to it as well, or just our contact information on it as well for them to contact us. So, there's opportunities out there. We just gotta just, get it out there and just kind of spread the word that way.
Well, when farmers are hiring, a lot of times are they just hiring one person or are they usually hiring a group?
But it's all depending on their needs. I know sometimes some farmers do need, multiple people at a time. And we let them know that, we can definitely put the word out there, whether it's a guarantee that you'll get multiple people. Not really. It's hard. I mean, that's just part of job search in general. But we do let them know that there are programs that can possibly allow them to possibly get multiple people and they get paid through those programs to help labor costs and cost efficiency to be an employer, because we know right now a lot of things are tight as far as on the pay scale side. A lot of people are being cut down hours or just being docked on pay because of the way certain things are right now. But we let them know that there are options. We don't want to just leave them without options. So that's our main thing to always do, just to let the employee know, or excuse me, employer know that if we can't do it the traditional recruiting way, then there could be other avenues of outreach that we can possibly provide to them to help them find either one worker or multiple workers in that time in which they need. But we also advocate too, just kind of give us a little bit ahead of time too. That way it gives us some time to, you know, get the word out there and start, recruiting because, last minute things. I mean, if we know anybody last minute, we possibly could give them, something to go by or go off of. But we normally try to ask for like a little bit of ahead of time, like what their projected schedule is as far as when their busy season is, when they might projectly need some workers in a big capacity.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
So, Nelson, just the idea on like if I am searching for a role, and then we'll move into MSFW here in just a second. But if I'm searching for a role in an entry level, like what what should my job search titles be? Like what should I be entering into the search box when I'm looking for that? And Ricky, you can answer as well. But what are the main categories that I should be searching for if I'm looking to get into agriculture?
I would say it depends on the specific niche of agriculture you want to be in. Given that farm work has a stigma that you're just going to be outside either picking crops, you probably look up just general farm work, and what NC Works, what the carrier will probably return is a lot of the seasonal jobs. So you'll get a lot of greenhouse work, or you'll get out here right outside of the Wilkes NC Works office, cabbage. So you'll see a lot of that type of work in the field. But there are a lot of different categories to agriculture work. Whether if you're interested in being a agriculture mechanic, so working on farm like equipment, you can become an equipment operator. The biggest advantage of using NC Works is that we typically work with a lot of the different businesses, the agriculture business nearby, and we establish this relationship so that if we do find a candidate that's ready and it's ambitious and looking to get into the field, we can establish that relationship with the business owner. And anytime there's something to be filled, we can parallel that with the services that help the business use that job seeker, whether it's an internship or on the job training. So we reduce that friction of getting them into the door. But those there's also like in Watauga, there's the local food hub. Those are a lot of entry level positions that they mainly sort food that's brought in locally to distribute out to the community. So it really depends on the category of business you want to be in agriculture, because it's just not farm work. It's just not being in the field picking crops or planting crops. There's a lot of different categories you can pivot into.
Well, to ask a dumb question, when I came here a few years ago, Christmas tree farms, I never thought about it, but obviously there's a lot of Christmas tree farms in the area in the high country in general.
Hmm.
But trout farms, do they exist? Do they, where do, is that something that comes through here or not?
I don't know exactly where so that would be considered fish farming or agriculture, aquaculture. I'm not too keen on where they're located, but they are. And I know because they stock the rivers around here. That's a big thing, especially in the Western North Carolina, is to stock the New River and all the Yadkin River with trout. I think that might be managed at a local level. I'm sure there's private business. I'm sorry, at a state level, but I'm sure there's private businesses that do it as well. But that is possibly, I mean, it's a job, it's a state job. We can probably help candidates and job seekers get into that role. I don't know unless Ricky has. I haven't dealt with a situation like that. You're on mute.
My bad. I haven't came across any trout farmers in the area that I cover before. I mean, I know I've been talking to some employers that do deal with aquaponics in some kind of form or fashion, but actually just trout in general, no, I'm not too sure about that. No.
See, I'm thinking since I'm not any good at catching them, I might
Mm.
be better at farming them and just like starting that way. But anyway, let's move on to migrant seasonal farm workers because this one is kind of interesting. There's been, some new movements on it as well. And so if you anytime you want to speak to any of the changes or processes now, but I mean, I think the best place to start is simply, let's say I'm in another country and I want to work in the state of North Carolina as a migrant seasonal farm worker. What is that person going through to get here? And then when they get here, what does their job look like? What sort of protections do they have? What sort of amenities, are they provided?
Well, that would be under the H-2A program. So if someone outside of well, it first starts with the business. The business is saying that we have a lack of local labor. We predict that we will not have any labor to operate our business at this seasonal time. There's an uptick of production, or there's the harvest season is coming. So they put out a request, and that gets processed through Raleigh and other departments across the country. But then someone outside of the country, let's say I was outside the country and I was looking to work it with a visa, I would apply for the visa, and then those two get matched. So the worker gets matched with that business in need. And once you come out as a H-2A worker, you practically have the same you're under the same worker protections as any American, but there are other efforts for us to come out and like as an outreach worker to make sure those because historically there's been a lot of abuse with MSFWs, micro seasonal farm workers, even on the H-2A side. So we ensure that those policies and compliances are being followed, that they're getting paid correctly, that their housing is satisfactory, that they're being paid according to what's on the contract, and they're only doing what's on the contract and nothing more. So I want to say there's amenities, but the business is responsible for covering those housing costs, any transportation costs. So for the H-2A worker, they are pretty much set for travel and any amenities from their country to the work site. But once they come to the work site, it's like any ordinary job. It's like they lived here their whole life and they're just working at a job.
Okay. So what does it look like from the employer side? Say they need to hire up a big group of folks. What do they have to do?
Well, they will need to basically go ahead and contact either an agent or a lawyer if they're looking to go towards the H-2A route, since it is a federal program and they are allotted a certain amount of days to actually file for a H-2A job order. I think it's up to like 90 days before a start date, that they probably would have to put in for one, since it has to go through different channels to get approved. First, it's going to be approved on the federal level, and then it get, divvied down to the state and local level. And our agents in the foreign labor team in Raleigh, they do a great job of, thoroughly vetting employers and those agents to make sure that they have everything covered on those job orders, like I mentioned about the pay, the work area where they're going to be working, the sanitation, some of the meals, and everything else, and the hours in which the people are going to work, and also just about just everything that they need to kind of make sure that they cover the end, because some of the things that we ensure when they're doing these H-2A job orders is something that we just started a few years ago, which is called post-service visits, where we go out there, talk to different employers, and we'll talk to the workers as well to ensure that everything aligns on that job order. Because in years past, a lot of employers have kind of divvied away from the job order and the job duties that they have workers over here for. It was one case in one of my counties where were supposed to be doing some type of, I guess you can say, um, landscape or work, and they were kind of like doing things offside of the contract. And landscape, it goes towards H-2B, it's not H-2A work. So a lot of employees, they definitely try to, read between the lines and trying to, see what they can get away with. But with us doing these visits, it's not us trying to come out there and get them in trouble or ding them for anything or fine them. It's just us just providing guidance and letting them know that, this is something that might cause a red flag moving forward. And you don't want, different parts of, government's agencies like wage and hour, or just the Department of Labor in general, come out there and see some of these things that might be, differential from the contract. So we play a big part in providing those guidances to employers and letting them know that even though the H-2A program is definitely beneficial, and we understand that it definitely is costly and it takes time to get things going with it, it does provide a guaranteed service for people to find workers, but at the same time, you don't want to abuse the system and then lose the contract, and then it's hard for you to ever get back into that program. And the only way that you can sustain business is having workers. And, like I said before, domestic workers out there, but sometimes it's very easier for them to find workers from other countries on a seasonal basis to come and work for those 6 to 8 to 10 months out of the year, instead of trying to constantly, put in for trying to find more local labor. Even though that's what thing we are pushing for, we do let them know that, if you do H-2A, you need to follow the guidelines, because once you lose a contract, it's hard to get it back.
Okay, so real quick, what is the main difference between H-2A and H-2B? I'm not 100% clear on that.
H-2A is primarily anything that's going towards agriculture. So that's working in Christmas trees, working in blackberries, strawberries, blueberries, any type of produce like that, working with cattle, working with chickens. Those are like the traditional forms of agriculture. What you think now? H2B, that's more on the, I guess you could say, adjacent side of agriculture. So you have, the landscaping, you have some type of forms of nursery work, not necessarily nurseries because nurseries are H2A as well. But it kind of goes towards like construction, anything that's requiring outside labor or even sometimes local, like just regular labor. There are some people that get hired through the H2B programs to do restaurant work, like be a cook sometimes. So it's all kind of jobs that could be adjacent to agriculture and those that are more like of the traditional jobs that you can probably get hired on a day in, day out basis.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, I appreciate the information on that. Uh, Let me move to basically, you know, what can NC Department of Commerce, NC Works provide for both the job seeker and the employer in terms of, are there any programs that they can take advantage of beyond what we've discussed so far? Any grants, learning opportunities, things like that? What's out there?
Well, there's the WIO or Title One services that we provide. I think Nelson kind of had mentioned about one of them already, but like with the work experience, WEX, what we call it, or on the job training, those are avenues that are definitely out there for employers and employees to take advantage of. They provide a great service to bring awareness to some of the programs that we have. With the WEX, it's more of a part-time type of internship. It allows people to work up to 28 to 29 hours a week for about 3 to 4 months, and it's fully funded through your local workforce development board. And then the other opportunity is a more of a full-scale internship, which is on-the-job training. Pretty much a lot of people are familiar with that program more so of a WEX because I think WEX kind of came about maybe just a few years ago, but on the job training is up to about 6 months and it has a potential to be rolled over into another additional 6 months depending on the region in which the participant and business is in. And that one is not fully funded through the Workforce Development Board, but you can get a reimbursement of the 50 to 75% of the pay of that person that get placed in that particular program. And then they have other programs like incumbent worker training. Say if you have anybody that is currently working there at your particular business, that person can possibly get placed in the upscale program that provides them to learn a new skill that could be a great benefit to you as an employer and kind of help you with not possibly hiring additional staff if you can't afford it. And that person can learn different tricks and trades to kind of help out your business grow. And then you also got like work opportunity tax credit. Say if you have a qualified person that's there, but they have a very unique past, or they have past experience with the law, and it's hard for them to find a job. You do get a tax break or tax credit for hiring individuals like that. And they have representatives in each office, or just about each office that kind of like works within that program scale as well. So those are just some opportunities and programs that are out there for both the employer and employee or job seekers that is looking to kind of get involved in and kind of bring more awareness to NC Works as well.
And just to add on, the DOL, Department of Labor, actually grants a well, they select a grantee for the National Farm Worker Job Program, and for North Carolina, it's Southeast Nonprofit Housing, and they offer very similar services to the WIOA, but they're designated specifically for the farm worker population. So if they go through the eligibility process and they see if they have a significant time in farm work, they are eligible for the same career services and supportive services that are similar to the NC Work. So we often do a parallel referral. So we work with them through NC Works, and we actually make a referral to the National Farm Worker Job Program through Southeast, so that they can utilize those as well. And we've had a lot of success with them, particularly in the Wilkes area, with them having housing assistance, utility bill assistance, and stuff like that. So that's specifically for farm workers, and we partner them as Commerce and NC Works. We partner with them to deliver those services as well. As far as grants, there aren't. I know that our department works on obtaining some grants for the farm work community and for the agriculture community. So if someone's looking to do some training or looking to pay for schooling, we are in the process, or we have done grants before. We have applied for them, but those get issued mostly through the workforce board, so through the high country. They come and go, and they might be sparse, but those are ways that we've supported the agriculture community on the business side and the farm worker side.
Okay, well, let's start zooming out here and then we'll turn it over to audience questions and answers. But I have a few more questions, kind of taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture. First and foremost, you've got Extension Services, you've got Department of Agriculture, you've got Department of Commerce, Agricultural Services. What does that whole puzzle look like in the state? Like how many different departments are working together to support agriculture in the state?
That's a big puzzle, and they all kind of work in tandem. You have USDA, you have NRCS. Given that agriculture in North Carolina is so important, we churn out a lot of agriculture product, and we often rank the top in a lot of agriculture commodities. There's a lot of agencies, whether it's private, whether it's nonprofit, and whether it's state and federal levels, that help, and they all just help with specific parts of agriculture, whether it be workforce, whether it be production, compliance, safety, and all that. So it's a hard question to answer, but we often partner with a lot of these agencies and do outreach. We either go to some of these events, some of the workshops, so we can understand. And so if a farmer or a farm worker is in need of some sort of help, we often have someone that works there at contact. Like I know Ricky and I have visited several extension offices, so we make relationships with these extension officers. And then when we go out to a farm and someone's looking for information on, hey, I'm having issues with this sort of segment of my business, we can make a referral there. Even at a smaller local level, you have the small business centers that farmers don't often look to tap into. Even some of them don't even know what NC Works is, what NC Works does. So even just doing outreach to these farmers, we educate them in all aspects of what's available out there for ag.
So if I'm a farmer or if I'm a farm worker, if I ask you a question, but it's not in your area, you usually can get me to wherever I need to be.
Yes.
Okay. What are some misconceptions that people have about working in agriculture in North Carolina?
Um, well, there's the general ones that I'm just going to be outside picking something. It's dirty, it's stinky, and all that. But in the grand scheme of agriculture, there's many different parts of it. You can work at there's a lot of fertilizer companies that are positioned near these large communities of agriculture businesses, and you can get placed at a fertilizer company doing sales consulting, and that's a part of, and that's an agriculture supported business. And then you have manufacturing. You could possibly go to a manufacturing plant and process these commodities. You can become a welder that does repairs on agriculture equipment. So what I would like to say is that it's agriculture is very diverse. and it's not a one size fit all. So you can find yourself working at a greenhouse, or you can find yourself working at a corporate level at an agriculture supported business. So um, I would say be open minded, and if you find a part of agriculture that you're interested in, that you're passionate about, just go to your local career center and explore those options. Because even with the new, there's a lot of new aspects of agriculture coming out. Sustainable agriculture is becoming a very popular way of growing, and you see that a lot in the western side, in the high country, given that the terrain is difficult to navigate and difficult to grow, and you have to have high production with low inputs and without disturbing the land, especially after the Helene. A lot of people are becoming more conscious about how they interact with the landscape. So there's a lot of parts of agriculture that's evolving, and that's opening doors of opportunities for different type of work.
Ricky, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, like I think Nelson kind of hit it on the head. Like, a lot of people be thinking, especially sometimes younger people who don't come from the farming background, they think, primarily, you're gonna have some overalls on, you're gonna have a straw hat, and you're gonna be out here working, in the fields, riding on the tractor. Now, there are some aspects like that you are gonna be doing things of that nature, but like you mentioned, agriculture has grown so much over the past few decades with the type of infrastructure as it is. Like you said, you can work in that, Fortune 500 companies doing manufacturing, and that being like a form of agriculture, like Tyson, Kraft, even some of the beer companies, they grow their own hops and things of that nature, and that's a form of, agriculture. So it's multifaceted. Even people, I think when I was at A&T, I didn't know about it until I graduated, but there's even people that could get degrees in agriculture engineering. So there's so many different avenues and different things for people to do in agriculture. You just have to kind of be very open-minded in thinking about the aspects of what I can do or what kind of jobs I can possibly get going into it. And one thing that a lot of these employers have been, expressing to both me and Nelson when we go out there is that they're looking for people to help them with media. That's another aspect that people can do within it, even though it's technically not agriculture, but you're helping out an agriculture business or company grow its sources out there. So, you got to be multifaceted, you got to be diverse, and you got to be open-minded, especially in this field, in this time in agriculture. And I think a lot of people are becoming a little bit more open to the different ways that they can grow their business, being a farmer or just have an ag business in general.
Well, I'm gonna open up the chat and see if there are any questions and open it up to the audience. If anyone would like, let me look at the question and answers. Go ahead and drop them in there. I'm gonna, uh, and for folks on Facebook, feel free to drop a question in the comments or raise your hand and I'll unmute you, however you want to do it. But while we see if there are any questions, I think you both kind of touched on it, but what are the big opportunities or for growth here in the high country, or also the state of North Carolina in general? What in the next 5 years is going to be sort of the next big thing, in your opinion?
I think as technology starts to evolve in agriculture, you're going to see a lot more of a need for technicians, operators. So you have precision agriculture becoming a thing. I've seen a bunch of John Deere tractors that are coming out that are using robots, that are using vision sensors, that are using radar, GPS in order to precisely deliver pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, so that we're reducing that overuse of fertilizer and all the pesticides. And someone's going to need to learn how to operate them. Someone's going to need to learn how to fix them, diagnose them. So you'll see. I predict there to be a bump of need of technicians, whether on the sort of the John Deere side or just locally. So those are opportunities, and there's a big dilemma now with farmers going like retiring. So there'll be opportunities for people to take on their own enterprises. And you'll see that a lot on the eastern side. You'll see that in the western side. But what's nice about the western side, and also in the middle of the state, that you see a lot of these niche farming operations with that they deal with local farmers markets. I think me and Ricky and I have talked about this. A lot of people are starting their own operations, smaller operations to serve a niche market, and some of them become larger scale, but some of them just meet the needs of the community. So there's opportunities to train at these job sites. There's opportunities to get to know what type of agriculture you have. And the training opportunities are endless. I know Wilkes Community College has a pretty good horticulture program and an overall good agriculture program. So there's opportunities throughout the community here.
So, it looks like I've got the chat open and the question and answer box open. Not seeing anything come through, but we've covered an awful lot of territory. I guess the last big question I have is that someone that's seeing this either in recording or on here right now, if they want to get involved in agriculture in the state of North Carolina, what should they do after this webinar? Who should they reach out to? What would be their best path forward? You're
You're
both
on mute.
muted.
Um, I'm on mute again. Sorry. Um, I'll say the best form of contact anybody that's looking, if they're trying to like become or do no more type of farm work or just work on a farm or just ag business, I would suggest them to stop by the local NC Work Center and ask about different career paths that they have in agriculture, or just ask about how would they be able to get in contact with the local consultant that work within our team. I'm pretty sure most of us have made ourselves familiar with a lot of the offices across the state, both on the east side and the western side of the state. So a lot of managers or consultants in each office should have our contact information just in case that they want somebody to further expound on different opportunities that may be out there in the area. And if people just want to possibly just, kind of do a type of job that me and Nelson has done, I would just, work your sources and just check different government sites like nc.gov to see about different job opportunities like this, and also probably just check your extension office. Extension is a great way to get, I guess you say an entryway point into agriculture too. If they're not already involved in like different programs like the FFA program in high school, and just kind of getting some exposure and just kind of, just working the avenues out there. So those are some great ways for anybody, whether they're looking just to become like a standard worker working with these opportunities within agriculture, or they kind of want to be on this side and provide services to ag employers and ag businesses in their respective areas.
Jacob, now you're on mute.
Nelson, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, usually most NC Work Center, I would say all of them have a agriculture representative, and they can get you their contact, email, and all that. So I encourage people to just look online through the ncworks.gov website and see what agriculture opportunities are out there. Be open-minded. Again, it's just not being in the field. There's engineering, there's physical sciences, there's biology, there's a lot of different opportunities. So just get in contact with NC Works, see what's available, talk to your local ag representative. They'll have a great idea of what's available because we are in the field every day. We are in the field talking to employers, talking to job so the farm workers. So we know what's available, and there's a seasonality to agriculture, specifically with those large crops. Like right now, we have apples coming in the high country, and we have pumpkins and Christmas trees. So there's opportunities across the state. Just talk to your local NC Work Center, and build a relationship with them so that we can help you out the best we can.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time today. Well, hold up. I might see a question here. Oh, okay. Ruth Brooks asks, from a business services perspective, what is your approach in recruiting agriculture employees to use NC Works and its programs?
Um, on a business aspect, we normally just try to, like, I guess you could say, work the angle of let them know about those supporter program and career pathway programs. Let them know that, if it's opportunities out there that they may need, whether it's in a longer scale or a shorter scale, like on a seasonal basis, we'll let them provide them with detailed information about those work experience on the job training, incumbent worker training programs. That way they can get a little bit more familiarity with it. And even if they are open-minded to possibly using one of the programs, we highly suggest them to do the WEX. That way, it's a possibility they're not on the hook as far as with the pay for an employee using the program for the first time. And that way, it's like they're getting a sample size of what are some different opportunities that are out there that can be provided through the local NC Work Center. So we always advocate for them to, just be open-minded. Again, that's the word of the day, pretty much. Kind of be creative when they're thinking about what they are looking for a person to do or multiple people to do. I know multiple regions, OX can, allow up to, 4 or 5 people on that particular program, and so some others is only one at a time. But we kind of like just suggested them just to kind of utilize that program. That way they can get idea of some of the things that these programs through the NC Work Centers can provide to them in their business.
Thank you for your answer and thank you for your question, Ruth. If there are no other questions, well, let's see here. Okay. So in your opinion, have employers expressed an interest in our programs, and do you all share point people to contact in the various career centers?
Yes, they have. Normally, like I said before, what I would do, I would formulate an email and send out to them. I don't make point of contact with them in person first, send them a detailed breakdown of like each program, what it provides, what's the general consensus of it as far as the time frame and I guess you could say the consistency of what it entails. And once we make that point of contact, as far as either via email or in person, we kind of let them know of who is covering that area. It was an event in the high country just a few months ago that me and Nelson attended at App State, where it was farmers from different parts of North Carolina and then some that were out of state. We let them know about where area in which they were located in, what county, and we provided them with some of the representatives that if they were on the eastern side of the state, we provided them with a contact for that person that covers that particular area. And even those that were out of state, we encouraged them to stop by their local, whether it was a GA Works or VA in Virginia. I think it was my Virginia Works to stop out there to kind of ask these questions, because a lot of them, even in other states, they wasn't aware of some of these opportunities that might be available there. And even like Nelson mentioned, they do have NFJP partners in those other states too. And if they had needed those contacts, we provided it through them by asking our partners staff of Southeast and their local NC Works representatives about if they know of anybody in their respective states. I know in Union County, there was someone that did reach out that was looking for assistance, and even though he previously worked in Union County, he lived in South Carolina. So one of the representatives that was assisting me in North Carolina with them had told me about another person that was working with the same agency, but just in South Carolina. So I've been in constant contact with him, and I think this has been going back since June with getting him some CDL training through the local NFJP partner in South Carolina, and he's looking to take that because he was formerly doing box truck work, working with a farm in the Union County area, but now he wanted to kind of transition and actually do CDL driving. So it's been like I said, it's been an uphill battle. We're heading to almost October, and he's still plugging away and still trying to study for his test, as well as trying to find other job opportunities out there. So, if they need any point of contact from any part of the agency, whether it's within our department or partner agencies, we definitely will get them there to the right person.
So I guess the follow-up on this is that you collaborate with local business service teams at the centers to ensure or to share interested employer information for the business service rep to also reach out to the employer.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so you reach out, folks at the center reach out, and so it's sort of a 360 holistic approach on it. That's cool.
Yep.
We
Okay.
often become the first point or exposure to NC Works on the ag side. So a lot of farmers don't they might be familiar with USDA and Extension because they work very closely to them, but they often don't know what NC Works is or how it's used. So when we go out to these job sites, especially new job sites, we make them aware of what NC Works is. We get them in contact with the local BSR, the local business service rep, and from there we establish that relationship and open the doors of what they're eligible for, whether they're eligible for the internships, on-the-job training, or incumbent worker, like Ricky said. But we often are the first contact.
And it helps that we got state vehicles too. It kind of gives us a little bit of easy access to sometimes on these farms, even though sometimes they look at us like we're crazy. But it once we tell them who we are, it kind of smooths them out. Because like I said before, a lot of farmers just don't trust government, and we haven't been shot at so far. So that's the main thing.
Well, that's always good, you know. But gentlemen, I appreciate the work that you do. I appreciate you coming on here and explaining all about agricultural opportunities and services here in the state. Thank you for your time today. Folks, coming up October 9th at noon, we'll have Kendra Blevins from GE Aerospace on here talking about some machining apprenticeship opportunities that are coming up in near West Jefferson in Ashe County. And as always, we appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions. And if you would like, the recording of this program will be available almost immediately on Facebook at our Wilkes County NC Works career page. And the link to the recording will be available as well.